Kind of like John Paul's highlighted. That's true. You gotta kind of. Yeah, just wouldn't have had to.
Okay. Pretty highlighted. Thank you.
Calling the Caddo Parish Commission regular session meeting for December the 9th to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Young.
Present.
Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Present.
Commissioner Taliaferro.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Here.
All right, you have 10 members present and 2 absent. That does constitute a quorum.
Okay, I would ask that Kevin Samuels, our Assistant Director for Animal Services, will come and do the invocation. And Commissioner Epperson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And everyone, will you please stand?
Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come here as humble as we know how. We thank you for this day, a day that we'll never see again, a day that will never be repeated. So let us be joyful in it. Father God, bless upon this great nation, this great state, this great parish, and this great city. Father God, put the wisdom into the minds of the commission body that they may make the right decisions, Father God. Father God, touch our hearts. Keep us safe over the holidays. Father God, all these things we ask in your sweet Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
As we prepare to pledge allegiance to our flag of the United States, let us reflect that Monday, December the 7th, was the 80th year anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which forced us into entering into World War II. Also, let us not forget our POW and our MAIAs that are still in foreign lands. All military and veterans, render the standard hand to brow salute. All others, hand across your heart, and repeat the pledge in unison. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels and Commissioner Epperson.
It brings us to agenda additions, and I believe we do have one item on the agenda for potential addition today.
Okay, you want to kind of give what it is about? So,
yeah, the item that we have is an agenda addition for a special resolution recognizing the Claiborne Elementary Student of the Year, which is Kelsey Samuel.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Burrell and seconded by Commissioner Chavez to extend the agenda to for a special resolution. At this time, we'll have a public hearing. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor or against adding this to the agenda? Seeing no one come forward, public hearing is now closed. We will now vote to add this to the agenda.
And that motion carries with 10 in support, 0 in opposition, and 2 absent. That brings
Commissioner
us
Chavez,
to...
you on the board?
Yeah, Chairman, I know Director Samuel has a lot of bass in his voice, but I think there's a little too much. It was, from up here, it's really hard to hear him. Can we get the sound department to try to turn up the treble and turn down the bass on that mic for the audience?
Was the gain? It's either increased gain or reduced gain on the mic. You won't get treble and bass.
I'm
That's
not an
on
MC.
speaker.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
You want too much now.
No woofer.
All right. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to citizens' comments, where citizens are asked to fill out a comment card in the foyer, or they are able to fill out a comment request online before the meeting and return those. Either the online ones come directly to us, or you can return them here. If anyone does need to sign out, there are forms still available. We have received a number of forms, and I've shared those with the president, and they'll be called in the order that he is about to start with.
Okay, so I just want to let the public know that the comments are limited to 3 minutes, but if we have the same topic, then the comments are limited to 15 minutes. So what I would try to do is put all the ones per topic together. And when we start talking on that particular topic, you will have 15 minutes to talk total. So if it's 6 people, you're going to have to divide the time down. If it's 5 people, that's about 3 minutes still. But the more people that speaks on a particular topic, then I'll let you know how many cards I have on that topic, so you can kind of gauge about how long your talk is going to be, if you're going to give everybody the same equal amount of time. First one we're dealing with is Resolution 84, and we have 2 on those, so that'll be each person will have 3 minutes. First person is Glenn Moore.
Commissioners, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's getting to be a repeat record here all the time now. I'm speaking in respect to Commissioner Epperson on Resolution 84. We weren't successful in passing Resolution 60. And so I'm hoping today that we can get that resolution passed, because we need to have a say-so in our communities. And right now, we don't have any type of say-so. And I don't think that's fair living in a country like the United States of America. The community is ours. We pay our taxes there. We raise our families there. And we should have a say-so in that, what the oil and gas company is trying to do in our communities. And we're concerned about our property values. We're also concerned about the water. Drilling in our neighborhoods. I have residents and neighbors that live on my block that use well water. And we're afraid that with all the chemicals that they push down into the ground, that's going to contaminate that well water. And also there's a lot of chemicals they're using that we just recently found out that are very hazardous, can cause cancer. And we don't all know the long-term effects of that. And I like to be on this earth a few more years, just like other people would. And when oil and gas comes into an urban area, it really affects more than what it does out in a rural area. So we want to make sure that we do have a say-so in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Pratt.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Paul Pratt, 935 East 70th. I am here to respectfully ask that you remove passing Resolution 84, but if you feel compelled to pass something, I ask that you delay this for 45 to 60 days. This delay will give the Office of Conservation as well as the Department of Natural Resources and the operators the opportunity to sit down with you and come up with some common language that will lead this healthy dialogue. A healthy dialogue with the oil and gas company is not a community meeting with the media. It's sitting in a room and talking about the effects of not only urban drilling, but drilling in itself. Now, this is a method that we've done throughout the Haynesville Shale, and the Haynesville Shale is not just Caddo Parish. The Haynesville Shale is more than 1 million acres of land that's in DeSoto Parish, Red River Parish, Sabine Parish, Webster Parish, and East Texas. In 2008, at the height of the Haynesville Shale, I worked for the second largest independent oil and gas producer in the world. We discovered the Haynesville Shale over a decade ago, and because of this new technology called horizontal drilling and fracking, we were able to move into the Haynesville Shale with no problem. The gas prices were $13.42 an MCF. That's the measurement of calculating what the commodity prices at the Henry Hub. That's equivalent to 7.4 gallons if you were to put that into a liquid. Today, the price is about $4.58. So, but due to the high demand and the unprecedented price back in 2008, there were millionaires being created overnight because of this lease bonus frenzy. Some started out at $1,000 an acre and got up as high as at $25,000 an acre. I was there on the front row. Every night there was a meeting at a church or a park or a school because everyone wanted to find out about this newfound richness for our land. So I was the one that helped to build our first urban drilling location. And most of you probably already seen it. It's back in 2009, we built our first urban drilling property at the corner of Flournoy Lucas Road and Colquitt Road. I was the one to take then the former City Councilwoman Joyce Bowman out to the location. I conducted rig tours there so that the public can be educated about urban drilling. The second location was at Kingston Road and Williamson Way. That location we did first responder training to teach fire departments and others how to.
Time expired. Is there a motion to extend?
Motion to extend.
For 3 minutes?
Point of information before we extend, Mr. Chairman. I understand we have only 2 speakers. However, we have several pieces of correspondence digitally, and I would like to read one. So I would like to make sure that we have some time left, about 6 minutes.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you,
Does
Commissioners.
that pass by acclamation? 3 minute extension? Okay. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, at the height of the Haynesville Shale, there were 143 rigs operating in the Haynesville, and that was in 2005. But by 2010, most of the rigs left the location because of price. At one point, the price got down to $1.60 at MCF. So what's this reoccurrence that's going on right now is prices have stabilized, and what you see is an influx of companies wanting to come back into this mature field. Now, compared to 2010, 2005, there were 143 rigs in the Haynesville. There's only 37 rigs right now operating in the Haynesville Shale. And in Caddo Parish, there's only 4 or 5, not 37. So I just ask that when you look at deploying this kind of language, it sends a message to the rest of the world, because these companies are planning where they deploy their capital. The rig is on location about 45 days. There's 2 weeks for fracking, and it's gone. They spend between $10 to $12 million every 50 days, but that rig has to go somewhere. Check around. There's a lot of operators here in Shreveport-Bossier, and they don't even drill in Louisiana. Over-regulation de-incentivizes capital outlay for these companies. So again, I respectfully ask that you postpone or get rid of this resolution, because the state already sets the rules for oil and gas drilling in Louisiana. So let's drill for some clean, abundant, affordable natural gas right here in our own country, or we can get it from Russia. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do you have those electronic comments?
I do. So let's see, Mr. Epperson, and by the way, we received a number of comments prior to the meeting. Just for the record, those have been forwarded to each of you. All the commissioners have received those. This is one of the items that you received. This is from Mrs. Giselle Proby Bryant, and she says support for resolution number 84 of 2021. I want to thank the 7 commissioners who supported advancing resolution number 84 of 2021 to urge and request the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources to consider the negative impacts of oil and gas drilling in or near urban areas, implement rules to combat those negative impacts, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. To your December 9th agenda. Resolution 84 of 2021 will help level the playing field for the citizens of Caddo Parish, establishing a dialogue and hopefully some procedural safeguards or regulations in collaboration with the oil and gas industry. Caddo Parish is our parish, and citizens must have and will continue to demand environmental integrity. I had an opportunity to attend the entire Caddo Parish Commission work session on Monday, December 6, 2021. At the end of the work session, I heard a request from Commissioner Hopkins requesting that the Parish of Caddo get actively involved in strong collaboration with the state to create an alternative travel route for emergency vehicles due to the bridge closure on Louisiana Highway 1. Commissioner Hopkins, your concern about the road closure and the adverse impact it will have on emergency service is worthy of consideration. Just as important is the consideration of alternatives to lessen the negative effects as it relates to the oil and gas industry. We need relief from the toxic air, water, sinkholes, tremors, shaking our homes' foundations, the noise level that is impacting our hearing threshold, and the suffering of upper respiratory illness from the dust and toxins that has invaded the exterior and interior of the places we call home. We are not all privileged to have a medical plan like many of you who are opposing resolution number 84 that only seek collaboration with the oil and gas industry to consider incorporating some regulations that allow the Caddo Parish Commission some leverage to monitor and hold companies accountable. I'm concerned that these issues will continue to drive health issues and health costs to increasingly higher levels. I strongly encourage commissioners who oppose resolution number 84 to have a dialogue with any oncologist and or pulmonologist who provides medical care for you, a family member or friend, and they may share many of the medical illnesses that become life-threatening are related to toxins released by the oil and gas industry. Please take a moment and review your water bill if you live within the city limits. Citizens, not oil and gas companies, pay a cost for the following: 2 fee charges for the quality of water used, safe drinking water fee, and a security fee. Yet we are not holding these billion-dollar companies financially accountable for the millions of gallons of water they are using daily, depleting our water supply. In the work session, there was discussion in support of a long-range plan to grow the Caddo Parish population. Please review the densely populated areas that have lost its population. Oil and gas drilling companies' lack of accountability and lack of concern for the well-being of citizens may be one of the factors of people deciding to move out of Caddo Parish. Citizens live in very close proximity of these sites and are exposed to pollutants on a daily basis. It's critically important that citizens have representation, and as a parish, we need to move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. There's no doubt the citizens of Caddo Parish will be using oil and gas for decades to come. The oil and gas industry must meet the challenges of providing clean air and water while creating a partnership with the local government body and citizens. We must all do our part, move resolution number 84, 2021 forward, and get a seat at the table of discussion for the citizens of Caddo Parish. We can no longer compromise the integrity of our health, well-being, water supply, environment, and the livelihood of generations to come. Most importantly, special thanks to Commissioner Epperson for his unwavering service and commitment. Thank all of you for your service. Happy holidays and blessings for the new year. Signed respectfully, Giselle Proby Bryant.
Is there another?
Yes. I'd like to read this from Representative Cedric Glover, State Representative of District 4. He hosted the town hall meeting in conjunction with a couple of city council members and myself. Good afternoon. Dear honorable members of the Caddo Parish Commission, I write you today to express my full support for Resolution 84 of 2021. The advent of increased drilling activity within close proximity to densely populated communities calls for the very best, at very least, an examination of existing capacity of the current measures in place to protect the safety and sanctity of the people who live within the neighborhoods of our state. The recommendation contained within Resolution 84 of 2021 encourages us to do just that. I can assure that these sentiments are shared by many of the residents of House District 4. A week ago today, I hosted the 3rd town hall meeting within my district since July of this year regarding these issues. The crowd gathered at the Bill Cocker Community Center was standing room only. Almost everyone in attendance expressed firsthand concerns about the drilling activity currently taking place in the western portion of the city and parish. They were all dismayed to hear that their local governments are largely without any authority to address any of their issues and concerns. They were equally disappointed to learn that the state measures currently in place are largely focused on addressing the issues of drillers, operators, and large parcel landholders as opposed to people who live within populated neighborhoods. These reasons are more account for why a measure like Resolution 84 has come forth and is worthy of both your support and continued advancement. Many thanks to each of you for your service, and I wish you and your loved ones a Merry Christmas and the happiest of holidays. Yours in service, Cedric B. Glover, 4th Representative District. Thank you.
All right. So that's those. The next one is David Zimmel.
Change topics.
This is a new topic.
Sorry for looking for which. My name is David Zimmel. I live at 1450 Yale Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the People of Praise. We've applied for 5 different properties through the Faith Builders program, and we're very grateful that you've considered our application. I'm more here just to answer any questions that y'all have about the application. We've asked for these 5 properties. We're planning to, there's a couple that have houses that will need to get demoed, several lots that will need to be cleared. Our hope long term is to continue what we've been doing, which is to be building low income quality houses for people who live in the neighborhood, people who want to foster community here. So far we've built 11 homes, bought and renovated another 5. We've run a camp for kids in the neighborhood. We've done fix-it projects for about 100 different neighbors. It's a wonderful thing, real sense of community happening in this little pocket of Shreveport, and your help will help us. So I'm also here in case you have questions about our application.
Thank you. You can't answer questions right now, questions right now, but we get to it, we could ask at that particular time. All right. Changing subjects again. We're going to Citizens Committee, zoning issues. First one is Ron Gray. It's only 4 speakers, so that will fit into the 15-minute time frame.
Good afternoon. My name's Ronald Gray. I live at 8132 Timmons Trail, just outside of Blanchard. I was asked to come down and reinforce what I had spoken to y'all once before about, that for commercial and industrial facilities, that DEQ and EPA is there, does allow for public comments, for any challenges for if a business just suddenly announce they're going to build some nasty plant beside you. You must go through a long, laborious process. There's always public comment. Watching the television show that y'all had this morning, someone said they were not aware of where EPA's office is. We're in Region 6, Dallas is where their office is. Anytime you don't get satisfaction out of DEQ, you can call EPA, because DEQ is like a contractor for the feds. Certainly the environmental justice about where you build your plants, if there's better places, and all this is part of the application from DEQ. If you don't like those answers, you always can appeal to them. Now, the question came up about DEQ. Yes, the headquarters is in Baton Rouge, but Shreveport down on Fairfield, that's where the local office is. And that would be a place for citizens that has a concern to start with, would be to contact them. And then they can also get them in touch with the experts for the particular problem or issue. Like the oil well thing came up. Well, if you had a problem with that, you would call Baton Rouge and they would get their experts to discuss it with you and guide you and direct you where you need to go. Now, I am retired from DEQ. I spent 23 years working for them, and I've also worked for a private environmental company. If y'all, and I'm more than happy, I live here, I have a commitment to Caddo, I've been here all my life. So if y'all have questions, I will certainly make myself available to help answer questions, give guidance. Is what I spent 7 years as the enforcement officer for all of North Louisiana. So we can certainly provide that for you. I am here in support of the Caddo Alliance and for the changes in the zoning. Thank you.
Next one is Larry Little.
Yeah, my name's Larry Little. I live at 5057 Dixie Garden. I'm just here. I wanted to kind of make everybody aware. I have a business, Testament Construction. We've been at 7115 Greenwood Road for over 20 years now. We are an oil and gas contractor, and we are a general contractor also. We had recently applied for a zoning change that was voted down by y'all's body. In the 20 years prior to that, I'd never had a complaint, never an issue, never any problems from any of my neighbors. We're located right across from Timberline Western Hills subdivision. Since that time, I've had sales tax enforcement, DEQ, EPA, property standards, all come to me wanting to inspect my property. Commissioner Epperson is one that had directed them to come and inspect my property. I've had 0 violations that they have wrote me for. Here the other day, I was told I had to have a certificate of occupancy. Didn't know I had to have one. I'm now being fined $500 per day for not having a certificate of occupancy. I can't even find out from anyone what I have to do to stop the fine. I went to the MPC's office today. They directed me to the attorney's office. I spoke with him. I'm waiting on a call back from him. I have a small business here in the Caddo Parish, been here all my life. We have about 120 employees, and I'm basically being shut down by this body. I just wanted y'all to be aware of what y'all are doing.
Next person is Jessica Tullis. Chris Crackman.
Chris Crackman, 4530 Pine Knoll Drive. I'll keep it simple and I won't put any bass in my voice this time, I promise. One thing that we addressed really briefly in the Citizens Advisory Committee was a lot of the smaller things about the UDC, master plan, all that. Y'all know the issues. And a lot of the discussion and today and in our committee meetings is about power plants, rendering plants, creosote plants that don't exist anymore. But a lot of these big issues that are actually very rare. And I know Attorney Bernstein was talking about a rare instance of a nursing home versus a parking lot. And that's like a really rare occasion and usually ends up going to court regardless of what this body or the MPC does. What I would like to really talk about is the smaller, more common things, especially since we've been in, well, the Cattle Alliance for Freedom, we had a lot of public outreach. We talked to thousands of people, and we never really came before this body and talked about the little things that we hear the most about. And since being put on the Citizens Advisory Committee, we got even more outreach from people, and the most common things that were addressed were real little small things. And I'm gonna give you a small example. Back in September, I think it was, there was a woman who's 86 years old. She lost her carport in the snowstorm, and she had one put back up that didn't match the one that fell in. And so somebody called in and put in a blanket complaint on the whole neighborhood. It was Lakeview in District 2, and put in a blanket complaint, and she got a violation warning. It's an 86-year-old woman. She of course has a controlled income, and she thought that she was going to either have to tear it down or pay a big fine. She didn't understand the warning, and she sent us a copy of the warning, and looking at it, it was a pretty intimidating letter. But it's those little things like that that we hear a lot about, people putting up carports, people doing things to their home where they're having to pay these fees and stuff. And I know from personal experience, when I put in our manufactured home in 2017, I believe it was, I had no idea that we had to jump through so many hoops. And a lot of it I did myself because I couldn't afford to do anything else. I couldn't hire anyone to do our blueprints and our site plan and all that. I had to do it myself, and it was taxing. But the fees really caught me off guard because we barely were able to afford what we were getting coming in. And then we had to attach on all this, and so a lot of that is something that we don't bring up a lot, but it's the little things.
Okay, your time is expired.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, changing subjects again, going to the animal ordinance. And we have 6 speakers, so that gives you about 2 minutes and 30 seconds apiece on average. First one is Lorraine Guerrero.
My name's Lorraine Guerrero, and I'm president of an organization called Nova's Heart. We help to feed, give collars, harnesses, leashes, vaccinations, a once-a-month rabies clinic, and free spay neuters to the homeless, pets of the homeless, low-income, veterans, and disabled. None of this costs anybody that qualifies a penny. I really wasn't prepared to speak, but I had a situation that happened at our office today. We were supposed to take a beautiful Cane Corso 10-month-old pup in to get spayed. I called the owner to see why she didn't show up this morning, and she told me that she lost a dog a few months ago and a man had given her this pup. Well, she wanted to have the pup spayed, but when the man found out that she was going to get the dog spayed, he came back after 3 months and took the pup away from her because he thinks that he can make money selling the puppies. This dog is beautiful, but is in no way a Cane Corso that should be bred. It's just not that kind of dog. This is what we deal with every day. Every day in our organization, the fight against spay-neuter, therefore resulting in us seeing 7 to 10 litters of puppies every year that we give shots to. We never know where those puppies end up. Most of them are sold for $50 because they think they can make a little money. It's not morally right, and it's not ethically right to treat an animal like this who didn't ask to be here, just like a child doesn't ask to be born. An animal does not ask to be born. And we should treat those animals, the animals that God gave us the responsibility over, with respect and dignity. And I ask that you please pass this spay-neuter ordinance in order to alleviate the problem that we have at all of our local animal controls who are overpopulated with stray and unwanted animals. Let's do something for Shreveport to move ahead. Thank you.
Linda Shimwell. And after that is Chris White, Al White. You're on deck.
I'm Linda Shimwell, founder and president of Pet Savers No Kill Shelter. I can't say it much better than Lorraine just said it. Today we took in 2 severely emaciated young lab mixes abandoned in an old trailer. Yesterday we took in a tiny old dog left behind when his owners moved. A little research indicates, from talking to my phone volunteers, that we probably turn down about 2,000 dogs and cats a year. Where'd they come from? Strays, they were found somewhere, people were moving and didn't want to take them with them. In fact, most people come in and they're moving tomorrow and they want us to take their dogs. Most of those dogs are not spayed or neutered. It's an endless stream, it's a bottomless pit. Those of us in animal rescue are exhausted most of the time. So we thank you if you pass this spay-neuter mandate. We need it. Thank you.
Chris Allway.
Hi, I'm Chris Allwhite. I foster for Caddo Animal Control, Parish Paws. I also do transports for Alone to Home and Kindred Hearts. Just this month alone, I run 3 local lost pet sites. I'm also a member of several other pet sites because a lot of animals that are found are immediately rehomed to other people without even looking for the owners. The month of December, 638 puppies on my sites that I'm on were born. 509 kittens were born. Where are these animals going to go? On my street alone, 2 neighbors, between the 2 of them, have 29 puppies. One of my neighbors is selling the puppies for $50 a piece, unvaccinated, not wormed, and they're 13 days old. She already has them on Facebook for sale, wants them gone by Christmas time. In the last week, I've brought 4 dogs to Caddo. 2 weeks ago, I brought 6 dogs to Caddo. Yesterday, I spent 4 hours chasing 3 dogs off of Hearn and one on Juella. It's never ending. There's not enough fosters. There are not enough rescues in this area. The animals do not stop. I live in Blanchard, and it is a daily occurrence for me to chase animals, try to find their homes, bring them home. Last week, I was at Dollar General. There was a woman out there at 9 o'clock at night with her 3 young children giving away free puppies in the Dollar General. They were not vaccinated. The mom runs loose. The mom, again, yesterday was out running loose. So more than likely, she's going to be pregnant again and give birth in 60 days. On my street alone, we have 12 dogs that regularly run loose. I'm sure Travis is sick of me calling Caddo because I call nonstop. They're tired. When I walk in Caddo, it's what dog do you have with you today? It is a never-ending battle. We need to pass this ordinance. There's just not enough people in Shreveport, Caddo Parish alone, to help these rescues to foster. So we are begging you to please consider passing this ordinance.
Thank you. Megan Everett.
Hello, I'm Megan Everett, and I am the Transport Rescue Foster Event Coordinator for Parish Pods. Last time I came up here, we were at over 450 animals we had taken in and transported this year, along with the 71 we took on the transport that I took the next day. Next week, I'm sending another 60. 3 of those 60 are moms, and I believe I'm at 20 of those 60 are puppies to those moms. There are 2 mama dogs at Caddo right now with 7 puppies, and there are 2 pregnant moms at Caddo. I don't know where I can put them anymore. Commissioner Talaferro, you foster, and I commend your efforts. We're grateful. But you know as well as all of us do, there's not enough of us. My home is full. I live in a duplex on Kirby, and I am full of kittens, and I am full of puppies. A guy today came in today with 3 puppies, and if I didn't post them immediately and get them out, they would have sat at the shelter and possibly caught something. I can't move, we can't, and I say this as myself, but my team, Linda, Lorraine, we can't move these animals quick enough. And I have been contacted by other people in other parishes. They want to know what I did to get this started. And I told them it wasn't me. It was you guys. It was Commissioner Young. And you guys have no idea how groundbreaking this would be if we could get this started here. We would be paving the way for the South in animal welfare. And I commend all of your efforts, and I am just super thankful for you guys for even bringing it up. And I really, really hope this passes, because it would be a game changer down here. And it would be where she said most of us don't rest and, all that with what Ms. Shimwell said, we never do. It's never ending. And this would be a really great fix for it. So, thank you, Commissioners.
Donna Chance.
Hi, my name is Donna Chance Hall, and my husband and I, Winston Hall, we live in South Shreveport on Bethlehem Lane, and I brought a picture. This might be too small for y'all to see, but this puppy, along with 3 of her sisters, were at the end of a street in our neighborhood, sitting in the middle of a street that cars drive on, and we saw this Friday morning at 10 a.m., and when I leaned down, those puppies came right to me. So somebody had those puppies. They were used to people, and they dumped them. And we knocked on every door. We looked for signs. Nobody was missing these puppies. We took them in, tried to keep them safe. Our home was not set up for 4 puppies, but we tried our best, thinking we could bring them to the Humane Society or to Pet Savers. When I started making phone calls, they told us we could not contact anybody for the whole weekend at either Caddo Animal Control or Bossier Animal Control. I finally got somebody on the phone on Saturday, and we were told that Bossier was completely full. Caddo said we couldn't bring them until Monday. So that was 3 more days. My husband and I got an hour of sleep trying to keep these puppies safe. And they obviously were not vaccinated. Their stomachs were extended, but we could see their ribs. So they had not been dewormed or anything yet, no vaccines whatsoever. So I called 29 rescues in 5 cities in Louisiana. Not one single rescue was available to take these animals. This was 4 little girl dogs. So that means had we left them on the street, they could have possibly had 2 litters apiece, possibly for 40 more dogs in our area. And so we kept them the whole time. A rescue in Wisconsin is who finally saved us, and they said, we will help you. They arranged for a private transport of these 4 puppies. I'm a photographer, and I took awesome photos, like you can see in that one, of these little puppies, and they are transporting them tomorrow to Wisconsin at that rescue's cost. And she already has calls about adopting them. And I asked her, she said that since 2016, 7,000 dogs have been sent to them in Wisconsin and adopted out. And I said, why do y'all not have the problem that we have? And she said, we have very educated, laws about spay and neuter, and people abide by them. And I know it won't fix this problem, but I feel like it's a start, and we've got to start somewhere, because they are euthanizing healthy animals every day. And these little puppies are going to make somebody a great home, but they're not going to keep breeding, you know, continually. And I don't know the fix for that, if you have to get a permit if you're a breeder or something, but we have to start reducing that, because if 29 shelters couldn't take 4 puppies to save them, then we have a problem. And I think this ordinance would be a great start to help solving that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ken Booth.
Thank you for letting me talk. I'm Ken Booth, 10,006 Winding Ridge, Shreveport, one of the multitude of responsible pet owners in our parish. I have some concerns about the ordinance that I'd like to express. Some of the particulars: one, our breed is the Kuvas, which is a giant breed. My male weighs 114 pounds. Their skeletal system's not mature until probably 18 months, and spaying them at 12 months is too early, according to a lot of people. Some would recommend waiting until 18 to 24 months before spaying a giant breed dog. There are some exceptions, including for show dogs. This wasn't supposed to involve show dogs. Well, not all quality breeders who show their dogs show every year. My breeder, who is nationally renowned in her breed, teaches judges how to judge the breed. Takes a puppy at 6 months. She starts showing it, and by 2 years she expects to have the championship. Then she starts waiting for the health certificates. The dog will be 2.5 to 3 years old before she even starts to breed it. Over the next 3 years, she'll get 2 or 3 litters from it. So if she stops breeding at 6, that means that she bred this dog for 4 years after she stopped showing it. I tried to look at some of the exceptions for breeders. She certainly doesn't have a commercial kennel. She does not make money at what she does. There are some apparently permits to possess intact dogs and spayed dogs. I don't know what the requirements or the expense of those are, or if she could afford to pay it. Who's going to enforce this? They say we're not going door to door to check your dog and see if they've been spayed or neutered. We're going to ask our veterinarians to do it. Will this put them in a position of responsibility or liability for dogs that are not neutered or spayed that they continue to care for because they want to take care of their pets? There was an honest escape clause, which seemed to say that if your dog is vaccinated, has a collar and a tag or a chip, that they won't be forcefully spayed or neutered. I was taught that a collar should be loose enough that the dog can slip out of it to keep it from strangulating if it gets caught on something. It's not uncommon for a dog to slip out of its collar. Our dogs are collared, tagged, chipped, and vaccinated. And then there's a question of the expense. It seems to say that the parish is going to pay the expense to have all the dogs that are found over 12 months spayed or neutered. Does this include all the dogs that are currently in the rescues in this parish and are going in the future to be in the rescues in this parish? I know that my tax bill is on my desk now, and I don't want my tax dollars going to have my neighbor's Maltese spayed and neutered if she happens to slip out and slips out of her collar. So I certainly agree there's an issue. I'm not sure mandatory spay neuter with these exceptions is the answer, and I would suggest maybe looking at a different approach as far as what animals do you really wish to have spayed and neutered. The ones that are picked up with no owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to visitors. Today we have 2 items under visitors. I understand there was some discussion about potentially removing one of those items.
Yeah, there'll be a motion to remove 6.1.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Chavez to remove item 6.1. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 10 in support and none in opposition, 2 absent. That brings us to the next item, 6.2, which is visitors Dr. Brian Salvatore and Dr. Peter Sisko.
I'm Brian Salvatore. Yes. Okay. Yes. Professor of Chemistry, Chair of the Department of Chemistry and Physics at LSU Shreveport. I'm also Environmental Education Commission appointed by Governor John Bell Everett. I'm a advocate for environmental science. And I could state my address, 9106 Red Wing Court in Shreveport. How much time do I have, Commissioners?
I'm thinking it's 15 minutes.
Yes, I believe they're talking on the same subject.
Right. This is 15
Yes,
minutes.
I'll be sharing my time with Professor Siska.
Okay,
So
that's 15 minutes for both.
Between the two of us. Okay. All right. I have some concerns, and I would say that I think it is prudent that Resolution 84 is under your consideration today. I would ask you to give it your strong consideration based on the scientific knowledge that I have. I think that, you know, between 1977 and now, you know, there's been a lot of activity, as you can see here on the left panel of this slide. These are mostly conventional wells, but there's been a lot of activity in northwest Louisiana. But you don't see a tremendous amount of activity in the main part of Shreveport. You know, South Caddo Parish is one thing, but Shreveport and Bossier City, there hasn't been a lot of activity, particularly until very recently, horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing. So if you look at this slide here, this is Cross Lake. I'm particularly concerned about the plan to perform hydraulic fracturing in the lake itself. When we gave held the forum at the Cockrell Center, just a stone's throw away from there, people were living. Land O'Trees Street and Jefferson Page Road, they were complaining about the noise, they were complaining about the dust. I have concerns that go beyond that, and it stretches into the type of chemicals that are used. Also, I think there needs to be a greater exploration of the geology in the area. The fact that there are so many orphan wells in Caddo Parish, particularly on Cross Lake, wells that we don't even know where some of them are, and these are up to a century old, some of them, and this is a concern to me. Now, if you look at the plan with the Federal Bureau of Land Management, the federal government owns the rights here on navigable water, and you know, they've already gone through and given their go-ahead to the state to go ahead and consider these leases. I just think, you know, areas around South Lakeshore, Duncan Road, areas around the King Oak subdivision in the MLK area, and I already mentioned Jefferson Page Road. You have areas around the Bird Islands here and the Pine Island where we know there are lots of orphan wells. I just don't think you go through and you just, you know, blankly sign off on this. And I would say that I think it's prudent here that the parish expressed its concerns to the state of Louisiana. You know, we were told a little bit earlier here by one of our guests that there have been no problems. There have been no problems in northwest Louisiana. I beg to differ with that. I have a video here of something that happened down in DeSoto Parish. This is C.L. Bryant's property. He's party to a class action lawsuit that's still going right now. And this is what happened when hydraulic fracturing was done on his land. So you can see here that natural gas came bubbling up, and this was going on for months. Finally, they drilled a relief well to relieve the pressure. But this is something where, when the industry is asked, how did this happen? Shortly after you were performing this operation on our land, how did this happen? The industry had no answers to provide here. So I don't have answers either. I don't understand how could something that's happening down 10,000 feet in a shale that is so far from the surface be releasing natural gas. And the state found benzene in the water. Benzene is a chemical that you do not want in your drinking water. So I'm going to just say that there is still a declaration of emergency down there. There's an area of investigation that is 9 square miles. And if you listen to CL on his nationally syndicated talk show, you'll see he's not happy with what happened. He trusted the industry, and this occurred. So what could actually be happening? We are talking about an area 10,500 to 13,000 feet deep, but what is the chance that there can be fractures that are stretching into aquifers, or that the casing is not going down deep enough? Once something happens, it's too late. Now, if something happens down in DeSoto Parish or Greenwood, as we saw a blowout in a well just this fall, that's one thing. They talked about things happening in Rodessa, but we're talking here about our water supply. Now, we're talking about chemicals that they're putting in frac fluid that we do not want anything anywhere close to our water supply. Methanol is wood alcohol, ethylene glycol, which is antifreeze, diesel, not using it as a soot, but as something to encourage the hydrocarbons out of the shale. Naphthalene, xylene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and benzene itself. These are bad things. I said they mentioned benzene, that they found that in the water down on that water well on C.L. Bryant's property and other property owners down there that still have this pending litigation. So that just affected a limited number of people's groundwater. What happens if something like that happens up here? I don't know, commissioners, how many of you have ever seen a blowout, a well blowout? If this happened down in Crichton 2 years ago. If this happens down in Crichton and inconveniences 20 or 30 farmers, that's one thing. But if this happens up in Caddo Parish, in the MLK area, or on our water supply, that's a totally different story. And I don't want to see us taking chances. This is that same blowout, close up. And this took over 20 days to plug, almost a month to plug this well. And they didn't even know how they were going to do it when it happened. So when we see things like this happening, we know that there are existing wells, we need to be cautious. And I really think that Resolution 84 needs to be given your strong consideration, because when the city of Shreveport tried to put some regulation on and to prevent people from drilling within 1,000 feet of Cross Lake, that was struck down in the U.S. Court of Appeals, the 5th District right here. And that's a shame, because Ordinance 221 was just limiting 1,000 feet. Now they can go right on the lake, right in the lake, and do hydraulic fracturing. And, I have concerns about air pollution. I used to spend time in Salt Lake City. I lived there for several months. It didn't look anything like this back then, but in the Unitah Valley, now that they're fracking, this is what it looks like there. And ground level ozone is a real concern. It's something we had a problem with here a decade ago. I don't want to see us enter that again, where oxygen, our friend, gets converted into ozone, one of our worst possible enemies at the ground level, which can irritate our eyes, our lungs, even damage our crops. And a sunny day at the lake is not going to mean the same thing if we have a ground level ozone problem again, because sunlight catalyzes this process. One last thing I'm concerned about here are these forever chemicals. fluorinated alkyl substances. There's not a single natural product out there that has fluorine in it. Some pharmaceuticals do, because fluorine, when you put it into a molecule, it'll bind that molecule very tightly to proteins or DNA, but it's designed to do that. These polyfluorinated molecules are just covered in fluorine. They cannot be metabolized, they bioaccumulate, and they're very toxic. In fact, down to the parts per trillion level. And if you're wondering how much that is, that's about a liter of Coke in Cross Lake, our water supply. So, you know, we don't know how much they're using, but we do know, this information is publicly available, that they are using polyfluorinated alkyl substances in the Arklatex region, in the Haynesville Shale already. And the EPA started allowing that in 2011. So I'm just concerned by a lot of things that I've seen. I posted public comments to the Federal Bureau of Land Management, and I didn't like the flippant response that we've got about the environmental assessment. I think that there needs to be an environmental impact plan where they go acre by acre, look what could go wrong, what are the problems, what is the geology here, what about these orphan wells. If you're concerned about economic development and you want to work in the oil and gas industry, then let's plug these orphan wells, because there's $225 million in the new infrastructure plan that just passed that could be used for that. That's the kind of economic development I'd like to see. And the last thing, you know, it's important for all of you that are going to be voting today to look at, you know, how you've voted, how you've considered things in the past, but also you need to continue to stand on facts and principles, because you are accountable. You're accountable to your constituents. And so this is something that former U.S. Representative Bob Inglis said when he himself had a change of heart about renewable energy. And he said, these are facts, and facts are stubborn things. When the facts overtake you, it's best to be overtaken. It is better to change your mind rather than to double down on a position that is contrary to the facts. And I hope I've left you with some facts today for your consideration. Okay, thank you.
Might want to come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Siska, and I live in 8500 Millicent Way, Shreveport. I'm also American citizen, even though I have my accent is from Slovakia. So I'd like to make two points today to you, if you would be kind enough to listen to me. First of all, I'd like to mention that water resource is one of the most precious natural resource that we have. And unlike some myth that's going around, water resources are limited. There's not such a thing as an unlimited resource of water. Last decade, a couple of decades, there is a serious concern in the world community, not just in the United States or Louisiana, but in the world community about decline of water resources. NASA, for example, conducted a research, and they identified 37 largest aquifers in the world, and from these 37, 21 experienced decline of water. And we can see it also in the United States. Very famous Edwards aquifer in Texas dropped down since 1978 by 300 feet. And a similar situation we see now in California, where the lakes, rivers, River Colorado is dropping down, and due to the use in agriculture, there is definitely sense of shortage of water in the future. When 3 years ago, I was invited to by Ministry of Environment to come and participate on meeting was about water again in Bratislava. And serious concern about future, if we will have enough water to supply, water supply for citizens down the road, 10, 20 years down the road. Another important presentation was by ambassador from Israel, and he coming from the area that is significantly under water stress. He showed us how they use the water. They have sophisticated electronic system. They collect the data in the field, and they used only as much water at that moment as it's enough to support that plant life. And not even a drop of water is being wasted. So there are conflicts, international conflicts about access to water. So if we have a water supply in Shreveport, and you should be happy about it and see the ways how we can respect it and save it and develop it, so have a sustainable development here. So that's one of my concerns. Our students even did some environmental research in Cross Lake, and they identified some chemicals like atrazine and other that were flushed down from the agriculture use, or some oil and so forth. So we need to revisit this research again to see how the situation changed. So we still have a lot of work in Cross Lake directly here to save the water what we have. And it's kind of paradoxical that at a time when everybody in the world is concerned about water resource, we have an industry that is based in billions of water, billions of gallons of water, and drains it down, pollutes it, and is unable to clean it. As Dr. Salvatore indicated, there are some forever chemicals. You can't get rid of it. They just stay there. There are fish in the Red River. They change in the gender because of the amount of chemicals they come into the Red River through the sewage. So we have definitely serious environmental problems that exist in this world. And this would be my last point, that working in a geographic information system, I got my PhD from Texas A&M University and from GIS, and already at that time people started looking at so-called environmental justice and mapping the places and looking at the demographic structure of people who living close to these industrial centers, to these oil industries, petrochemical industries. And what they see, that most of the people who live there are poor people, are minorities, African Americans, Hispanics people, poor white people. And I was one of those back at home in native country. As a poor person, I grew up in a polluted environment. It's not very pleasant. I remember we were swimming in the water, River Nitra, and there was a big spill of arsenic, and there was a lot of sand mixed with arsenic, and we were just warming ourselves by shoving that sand on our bodies to get warmer because the water was too cold. And but anyway, so just poor kids have to grow up in this kind of environment. Sometimes I wish that the people who make money from this oil industry would live in those areas, but they prefer to live in a different, cleaner place, and poor people are left living in a polluted environment. So perhaps I'm inspired by the Native American saying that, you know, there is no more joy than living in harmony with nature. So thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
That brings us to adopting regular session minutes. In addition to your regular session minutes, you do have minutes from several special sessions related to the budget and the appointment of your District 6 interim commissioner.
Move for adoption, Mr. Chair. Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Everson to adopt the regular session minutes for November the 18th, 2021, and seconded by Commissioner Young. Commissioner Gage-Watts.
Yes, I would like to move to englobo the regular session, the special session, budget intro, budget adoption minutes, as well as the special session minutes for the interim commissioner District 6, with a correction under new business to rectify Mr. Johnson's motion and Commissioner Gage's Watts' motion of Resolution 84. It should read Resolution 85. On the special session District 6 interim, Commissioner, under new business.
It's page 358. Motion I made and the second that Commissioner Gage Watts made. It's been, and I second your in Globo.
Commissioner Young did it.
Oh, did he? Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts and seconded by Commissioner Young to englobo and adopt the regular session meetings, the special session budget intro, the special session budget adoption meeting, and the special session interim commissioner of District 6 that was happened on November the 29th. Seeing no one, let's vote.
All right, that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us to special resolutions, where we have several special resolutions today. There are 3 that are listed here, and then of course the one that we added today. So the first is a special resolution of appreciation and recognition for James Fleury.
I'll make a motion to that we will englobo and adopt all the special resolutions, 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3, and 8.4. Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Chavez to englobo and adopt those. So now we can go to 8.1.
All right.
Please stand, everyone.
I'll begin reading as Commissioner Chavez makes his way down. This is a resolution of appreciation to outgoing City Councilman James Fleury. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission notes with regret that the relentless passage of time carries with it succession of inevitabilities, among them the end of long and productive affiliations with valued colleagues and associates. And whereas this body now pauses to bid farewell to one such friend, James Fleury, who is leaving his City Council seat after nearly 8 years of distinguished service as the District E City Councilman and retiring from his nearly 20 years in elected public service, including 12 years as a Justice of the Peace in Caddo Parish. And whereas his departure from the City Council, in addition to being a personal milestone for him, which will allow him to enjoy time with family and friends, is also an excellent opportunity to honor and thank him for his leadership, which included an unprecedented run as chairman of the City Council, a courageous and public battle with cancer, and an accessible and relatable personality noted for his realistic but hopeful outlook and caring persona. And whereas James was first elected to City Council in 2014 and was returned to office by the citizens of District E, which is indicative of the esteem in which he was held by his constituents and colleagues alike. His warm personality endeared him to all, even those who were on the opposing end of his formidable and impassioned advocacy on behalf of those he represented. His sense of fairness and commitment to community radiate from him, as witnessed while he is volunteering for the Clerk of Court's office with his beloved wife Pat, or enjoying the noted camaraderie of his friendship with former District A City Councilman Willie Bradford. And whereas Mr. Fleury served with integrity, dedication, and commitment, traits which in every instance impelled him to seek to do the right thing in the service of the people of District E, the City of Shreveport, and Caddo Parish. He judiciously guarded the taxpayer assets placed in his trust, cared deeply about public safety, and worked to build relationships that cross traditional boundaries. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission meeting in legal and regular session on this 9th day of December 2021, that it does hereby express a sense of regret that its esteemed colleague, Mr. James Fleury, has reached the end of his local elected service, but with profound appreciation for the efforts that he has long and faithfully expended on behalf of this institution and the people of our community. Be it further resolved that this commission does wish James and his family many continued years of health, contentment, and prosperity as they enjoy the fruits of his toil and devoted service.
That needs a round of applause.
You all can sit down. You may be seated.
Ms. Pat, thank you for coming up here. This is just as much for you as it is for James. On behalf of myself and Southern Hills, as a friend, a neighbor, a mentor, a selfless service, James, you've been everything to Southern Hills. I know personally when I can watch you guys in the ditches cleaning up trash at your age and your health, and you're still out there leading by example. It reminds me of Matthew 9:37. The harvest is great, but the laborers are few. You guys never stopped to lend a hand to everybody. It showed, and just who sponsored this resolution is myself and Mr. Jackson, just to show you that across party lines, across racial lines, that you never divided, that you always unified. The great example that you and Willie showed the rest of the city of Shreveport was unifying, and that's what we need in today's day and age, is to put the differences aside, put the politics aside, and do exactly what you guys did. And I thank you for everything that you did for Southern Hills, and I hope that your retirement is joyous and that the stress, and I know I thought about this as you were sitting down there listening to all this, thinking I never have to deal with this again. So this will be your last time having to hear all the citizen comments and all the turmoil that we deal with up here, but good job. You deserve it. Thank you, James.
I'd just like to say how much it's been a pleasure to serve the citizens of District E and citizens of Shreveport. Thank you for what all you have done to help the city in tough times. You've stepped up and done so much for us to help us to go across the bridge, and I want you to know how much we appreciate that. I look forward to my retirement, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
James, you got commissioners on the board that want to speak as well. So, yes. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to take this time to tell my friend, in which we've grown a friendship. We've grown a friendship over the period of time, and James has been one of the few people I know that with things the way they are now, with political parties and people at each other's throat, you were one of the few that I've seen that reaches across the aisle and tries to make things better for everybody. And that is a rare commodity today.
Thank you, Lord.
And secondly, I was very disappointed that you decided to step down, first of all, and based upon state law, I don't think that you had to. I didn't know why. I never called you.
My season had come.
It had come. Well, if that's the case, nobody knows that better than you. So under the circumstances, I wish you well in your retirement, and your lovely wife, which I've met and admire her. So again, we appreciate your service.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I can't tell who's on the board.
Jones next.
Okay, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilman Fleury, I want to take this time to publicly thank you for your mentorship and just taking our time to, every time you saw me in public, to encourage me and tell me to keep serving the community. And you didn't have to do that. You could have just kind of looked over me or whatnot, but you took the time to take me under your wing and just kept me encouraged throughout the entire process. So I want to thank you for that. I hope you enjoy your retirement with you and your lovely wife, and y'all take some trips and enjoy the best of your days. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you, and good luck to you.
Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. To my friends,
yes.
To Mr. and Mrs. Fleury, I consider you both my friends.
You are.
Congratulations on your retirement. I thank you for your tireless service. I am very, very grateful and respect and admire your decision to know when your season is over and give someone else another opportunity.
Right.
I think that is exactly what we need in this season, and that is so honorable. So thank you for everything that you've both done, and enjoy your retirement. You deserve it.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
I think that is it. No one else is on the board, so thank you.
Thank you, James.
James.
Right, and I can tell you, James, life after city council is pretty nice. Let's see. The next item we have on the agenda today is a special resolution for the Southwood Student of the Year, Mr. Caleb Taylor.
Mr. Clerk, Roy wanted to make sure that his vote is counted on
My
the
vote's
board.
not up there. Not sure.
That was a previous vote. That's not,
That's not the most recent vote.
yeah, it's somewhere it's hung up.
It's just showing an old screen. Yeah.
Would everyone please stand again?
And I'll begin reading. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who've gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in doing so reflect favorably and positively upon their community. Whereas Mr. Caleb Taylor, a Shreveport native and senior at Southwood High School, has been named Student of the Year in recognition of his commitment to scholastic achievement, dedication to community and helping others, interview etiquette, and leadership skills. Whereas Mr. Taylor's impressive resume includes not only academic success marked by awards like the Renaissance Gold Award and Principals List, but also involvement in community service-based organizations like Beta Club, academic leadership organizations like National Honor Society and Mu Alpha Theta, and activities as diverse as Southwood Powerlifting and Taylor's strongest passion and activity in which Taylor has distinguished himself time and time again, the First Robotics Club and Regional Autonomous Robotics Society. Whereas Mr. Taylor's essay and interview highlight not only his achievements, but also his admirable character and powerful life perspectives as well, illustrating how he's overcome challenges, cultivated a love of learning, and shared that love with others in extraordinary ways. Mr. Taylor is thankful to have the support of his family, classmates, educators, and the competitive robotics community who've guided him to becoming the leader that he is today, capable of accomplishing goals that he could never have imagined as a child, facing challenges that were yet to be overcome, while looking forward to a future unafraid of the challenges to come, knowing that he has everything he needs to continue to set and reach higher aspirations and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal and regular session this 9th day of December 2021 that it does hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expressions of congratulation and appreciation to Mr. Caleb Taylor for his praiseworthy achievements and for representing Caddo Parish with such distinguished leadership as the Southwood High School Student of the Year.
You may be seated.
Mr. Taylor, thank you so much for coming down. When myself and Mrs. Glover were asked to judge the Student of the Year, you always know somebody great when they don't take the credit, but they start trying to give the credit to somebody else. And that was the first thing that Caleb did, is he started talking about how great this robotics class is and what it's done for his life, and that nobody even knows about this robotics class and the friends that he's met and the things that he did. And we had a national night out where the students of Southwood came to our national night out in Southern Hills and brought this super cool robot that they had programmed to shoot basketballs. And I just thought to myself, this is what our kids are making in our high school. And I think back at my days at Southwood, and this was not the cool stuff that we were doing. So I'm so excited and I'm motivated on the next generation. And then when I got to meet you and you came to our Southern Hills Business Association meeting, again, giving the robotics the credit, but then telling your story of how it touched your life and what it did for you, well, I totally agreed with Mrs. Glover. Like, this is our Student of the Year. Like, he has overcome the turmoil to become something great, and it was my absolute pleasure to vote for you and to bring you down here. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell everybody how the robotics has changed your life and what you've done, and thank you on behalf of Southern Hills for all the great things that you're doing and just the motivation for Caddo Parish that we have in our students.
I really, really appreciate the chance to be here, and I thank you all for, I guess, listening to me. I never really expected to get this award. If I'm honest, I never actually thought I was going to get Student of the Year. But like he was saying, the reason I ran for Student of the Year, the reason I did that, it wasn't for me. It didn't need to be for me. There's a lot of excellence at Southwood. There's a lot of excellence in the robotics program. There's a lot of smart kids who have grown up in low-income communities and have been told their entire lives that they will not be anything. And they deserve the opportunity to be represented. They deserve the opportunity to actually be excellent. And I think that is what robotics has done for me. It's shown me that it's incredibly unique. No other school has a FIRST robotics program in Caddo Parish. And robotics has always been important to me because, like I said, it gives these kids a chance to be excellent. It gives them a chance to be extraordinary and show how smart they are and do something that other kids have never done. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. It's not about me. I don't need to represent myself here. And I didn't even need to be here for this award, really. It's about the people I represent. And it's about Southwood. It's about not just Southwood and not just robotics, but all the excellent, excellent students, all the geniuses that are in Caddo Parish who are not in my place, who should be, who deserve to be recognized and aren't here. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here because it's not about me, but if I can represent them, I will do it in the best way that I can. And I hope I did a good job. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I never want to not take the opportunity to commend these young people, especially in the area of science and math, because that is my first love. And I see you brought some friends here, it appears. And I recognize one of them because he's my 2021 graduate of our Biz Camp Entrepreneurship Program, Mr. Parson. He was one of our top students. So, Mr. President, you might want to stand and.
Well, they coming up next.
Okay.
They're
coming up next. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I didn't want to miss out, but I wanted to again congratulate Mr. Taylor and his family because you wouldn't be where you are if your family wasn't there.
Absolutely.
So always hold them dear and near. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Epperson.
Young man, you carry yourself quite well. I can see why you won the Student of the Year. I see you with a very, very bright future. You're very articulate. And the thing that I like most about you is you thought of your peers. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Young sir, I was incredibly moved by the words that you had to say today about your friends, about the students that you represent, and I'm glad that you're here. Thank you also, Commissioner Chavez, for shining a light. We heard so much this year about the negativity coming out of Southwood, and while I'm appreciative for dads on duty, I like to see the students who are actually there every day putting in the work to make sure that their school moves forward. And so while they may have received national attention, you all deserve the credit for continuing to wake up every morning despite what you faced early in the school year, to continue to go and block out all that negativity. And that's not easy to do. And so I want to tell you thank you for standing firm for those that you represent, your student body. That was very admirable for you to not take the credit upon yourself, but to want to share it with others. And you've got a bright future ahead of you, so keep going forward.
Thank you. Appreciate
that. Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr.
Once
President.
he finishes, don't y'all move. Y'all just stay.
Don't go anywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got stuff to take care of. The definition of a leader is someone who actually thinks of others before themselves. They eat last, they go to bed last, they take care of their own personal needs last. And the job of any leader, which we believe that you are, is to build other leaders. And I cannot help but think that you are building other leaders in this robotics team, which is admirable at your age to think about others before yourself. That's the definition of service. And I appreciate Commissioner Chavez for for bringing you to show us that our youth are truly our future, and we can be so proud of all of your accomplishments, and we hope the very best for you. We don't even have to hope for. We know that the very best for you is yet to come. So thank you so much for everything that you've done and for being here. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
The next item is a related item, and it is a special resolution recognizing the Southwood Robotics team.
Everyone, please stand again.
Who are with us now? So,
This is how cool the agenda falls, is our commission clerk put him first, and then he gets to acknowledge his team.
Absolutely. So we have a resolution of recognition for Southwood High School's robotics team, whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to observe and enjoy the accomplishments of those Northwest Louisiana sons and daughters who have gone forth to attain success and distinction in the various endeavors they pursue. And whereas FIRST is a robotics lab course that teams professionals and students in order to solve engineering design problems in an intense and competitive environment. The competitions held at both the regional and national levels show students that technological disciplines hold countless exciting opportunities for their futures. And whereas the FIRST Robotics Lab reinforces the importance of education and careers in science, technology, engineering, and math, in addition to enjoying a unique learning opportunity, participants in this class are also eligible to apply for a variety of scholarships through the program and is offered to students in grades 9 to 12. And whereas FIRST is a robotics lab course that teams volunteer professional mentors and students to solve engineering design problems in this competitive environment, often called the ultimate sport for the mind, FIRST Robotics competition challenges students to build and program industrial-sized robots to complete specific tasks. And whereas Southwood High School's robotics team has won several awards, including the Regional Autonomous Robotics Competition and the Gracious Professional Award. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission that it does hereby wish much continued success to the students on Southwood High School's robotics team as they continue to dream, to aspire, to strive, to achieve, and to excel as they face the challenges and opportunities their lives will present.
Guys, just because Caleb wanted to bring you down and
now.
appreciate you so much, I thought it would only be right that we brought this forth to give to the teacher and to give to you guys. Caleb is, they're not just doing software development, but they're actually doing engineering, and they're doing coding so that what they engineer actually works and is programmable. So they're doing both sides of the facet, and it's just incredible that this is happening at Southwood under your direction. And I want to thank you so much for what you're doing and applaud you guys and bring you down. So Caleb. You want to say something? Oh, come here. Everybody get together. Miss Crystal wants to take a picture of everybody. Stand up. Jump. There we go.
They hit his average.
Commission, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with you today. Not too long ago, we were at the Southern Hills Business Association meeting just talking to them about our program and what we can do for them in their community. One of the things that we mentioned, one of the speakers there was Mr. Burton, belongs with the city of Shreveport. And what he mentioned was that we're looking for a new type of workforce. And these individuals that you're standing here beside me today are the future of our new workforce. And this is exactly the type of students and people we need here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I hope that we can retain them and make sure that they stay here and bring prosperity to our city. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Before you go, there's one commissioner that want to speak. Commissioner Burrell.
I'm going to always commend the instructor because you're so important to give them the guidance that they need. I remember when my daughter finished, and I didn't know what a robotic really engineer was, but the Department of the Army did a project in Shreveport, and they chose her as a robotic engineer because she had a degree in computational physics, master's degree, and they tapped her, and that was the first time I heard of them producing a job here. And then she was a young black woman, which was very rare.
Yes.
So again, keep at it, young man. And Mr. Parson, I'm keeping my eyes on you. As I said, he was one of my graduates, the first graduating class after the pandemic. in our Business Camp Entrepreneurship Program, so I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you all again.
Did any of the students want to say a word? That's good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
All right, that brings us to 8.4, where we have the distinct fortune to be able to recognize not just high school students today, but also a resolution of recognition for Kelsey Samuel, who is is the student of the year for Claiborne Elementary.
Please stand.
And as we stand, I'll begin to read. It's a resolution of recognition for Kelsey Samuel, whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who have gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in doing so, reflect favorably and positively on their home community. And whereas Miss Kelsey J. Samuel, a Shreveport native and 5th grader at Claiborne Fundamental Magnet Elementary School, has been named Student of the Year in recognition of her commitment to scholastic achievement, dedication to community and helping others, interview etiquette, and leadership skills. Whereas Miss Samuel's impressive resume includes straight A's the entire year, receiving the Creative Writing Award, along with other scholastic awards in math and science, serving as a 5th grade representative on the student council, helping her classmates as a peer tutor, a student teacher's aide, and a teaching assistant, and participating in activities like 4-H, Girl Scouts, the Fellowship of Christ Youth Ministry, where she serves multiple leadership roles, and even being named Queen of the Young Miss Mother-Daughter Pageant. And whereas Miss Samuel's essay and interview highlight not only her achievements, but her character, illustrating that she has a thankful and appreciative perspective on life, an appreciation for the differences in people, and is able to maintain a strong work ethic while also being joyful and passionate about causes such as anti-bullying. Miss Samuel is thankful to have the support of her loving parents, Kelvin and Kimberly Samuel, as well as the support of her community, classmates, and educators who've guided her to becoming a leader capable of setting her goals high while keeping a humble and generous heart to help those around her. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission and legal and regular session on this 9th day of December 2021 that it does hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expressions of congratulation and appreciation to Kelsey Samuel for her praiseworthy achievements and for representing Caddo Parish with such distinguished leadership as Claiborne Fundamental Magnet Elementary School's Student of the Year.
You may be seated.
Well, it's a pleasure to present Miss Kelsey this award. With all the accolades that she got, I thought she could probably just teach at Claiborne. But Claiborne Fundamental Magnet is one of the best kept secrets in Shreveport in terms of a magnet school. I've been there several times. I don't know who's the new principal. They keep switching them in. Oh, she's there. Okay. But they've done a wonderful job over there. And Kelsey, I can tell you've absorbed everything that you can absorb. Would you like to say something?
Thank you for recognizing me, and I'm glad to represent my school.
Kelsey, come on back up, Kelsey, to the podium. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kelsey, I want to say congratulations to you. Students like you that make Caddo shine, and it's a beautiful thing when students like yourself put our parish in a place of positivity and recognition. So I want to tell you thank you for being a leader in your school. Thank you for working so hard, and keep up the good work. especially in an environment where not everybody gets the recognition that they deserve, and not every young lady is being recognized like she deserves. So I'm telling you today, young queen, great job, keep up the great work, and keep moving forward.
That's right.
Congratulations, Kelsey, on all of your honorable mentions that was mentioned in your resolution on today. I am ecstatic that I get to say this publicly, because you know how proud I am of you privately. And I'll make sure that you get some pasta salad soon to go along with that proclamation. Congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Commissioner Evers.
Kelsey, don't go. I don't know you as well as I know your dad, but you have a good dad too, okay? You all get along well? And, Mr. Chair, if you would, could we recognize the principal if she would like to come forward and say a few words?
Yeah, come on up, Ms. Lester.
Thank you so much for recognizing Kelsey. She is an excellent student, and I know in today's world there's such a blight on education, and sometimes things look bleak in the classroom doors, but we have leaders and future leaders like Kelsey who let us know that there is a brighter future ahead, and she is a very good person. She has a very good heart. She does her work, and she helps others. As a matter of fact, she has dedicated her Christmas to helping someone else rather than get presents for herself. So she is going to be delivering some things to some schools to help other boys and girls have a very Merry Christmas.
Wonderful.
So what you see is what you get, and the future looks bright, especially with children like Kelsey Samuel.
Amen.
Thank you, Kelsey. You can, I know you want to sit down now. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases, where we have one item today. It's a public hearing for ordinance number 6145 of 2021. That's in relation to zoning case 21-30-P. It's an ordinance to amend volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, by amending the zoning of property located on the east side of Ratcliffe Road, approximately 400 feet south of South Roach Drive, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to I1 Light Industrial District, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. This is in District 7.
Public hearing is now open for ordinance number 6145 of 2021 in relation to zoning case 21-30P. Anyone that wants to speak in favor or against this ordinance can come to the podium now. Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed. Next item.
That brings us to public hearing on ordinances, and if you would like, we have a couple of items here. Would you like me to read them both?
Yes, read all of them.
Okay, I'll read both items before you open the public hearing. The first item is a public hearing for ordinance number 6147 of 2021. That's an ordinance to donate surplus property under Chapter 19, Article 2, Division 3 of the Code of Ordinances relative to donation of adjudicated property acquired by the parish under Louisiana Revised Statutes 47:2236 to authorize the donation of property to People of Praise, Incorporated, to address substandard housing and provide a benefit to low and moderate income residents of distressed areas, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. That's from Commissioner Jackson. And the next item for public hearing today is ordinance number 6148 of 2021. That's an ordinance enacting sections 8-37.1 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances regarding the mandatory sterilization of dogs and cats, otherwise providing with respect thereto, and that is from Commissioner Young. And just as a side note, this item here is attached as it was advanced. There has subsequently been a committee meeting related to this item. You will see later in your ordinances for final passage section that has the recommendations of that committee attached to it in addition to the original version. So just wanted to mention that in case there was any question about multiple versions on the agenda.
Public hearing is now open for ordinance 6147 and 6148 of 2021. Anyone that wants to speak in favor or against any one of these ordinances may come forward now. Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed. Next item.
That brings us to zoning ordinances for final passage, where the first item is ordinance number 6145 of 2021 in relation to zoning case 21-30-P. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo, as amended the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, by amending the zoning of property located on the east side of Ratcliffe Road, approximately 400 feet south of South Roach Drive, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to I1 Light Industrial District, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto, and District 7.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gage Watts, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Young to adopt ordinance number 6145 of 2021. Commissioner Gage Watts, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, Mr. President, this is an ongoing project in the area, and we've supported it in the past, and we're just continuing to support this project.
Seeing no one else, let's vote.
All right, and that motion is adopted with 11 in support and none in opposition, 1 absent. That brings us to ordinances for final passage, where the first item is ordinance number 6147 of 2021. That's an ordinance to donate surplus property under Chapter 19, Article 2, Division 3 of the Code of Ordinances, relative to donation of adjudicated property acquired by the parish under Louisiana Revised Statutes 47:2236, to authorize the donation of property to People of Praise Incorporated to address substandard housing and provide a benefit to low and moderate income residents of distressed areas, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Atkins to adopt ordinance number 6147 of 2021. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
No, I think the gentleman that spoke to us earlier and talked about, I mean, this is to expand the school, the recreational space, rehab, create a neighborhood garden. It's a lot of parts in what they're going to do with that property. This is part of the Catholic Church deal that they do, where they go in and do that.
He said no. It's not part of the Catholic Church.
It's not? No. Okay.
Can you come up for a second?
The People of Praise is an ecumenical community.
Okay.
Which there are Catholics, but there are also lots of different
It's
Protestant
not.
denominations.
It's basically across the board denominations. Okay. Excuse my mistake.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you got it right for the record.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and none in opposition. That brings us to ordinance number 6148 of 2021. That's an ordinance enacting section 8-37.1 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinance regarding the mandatory sterilization of dogs and cats and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Chavez to adopt ordinance number 6148 of 2021. Commissioner Young will speak to your motion.
Yes, but I would like to speak at the end of all the speaking, if any happens. If that's all right.
Right now, ain't nobody on the board, but I'll say something.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. So any dog that is a part of a club or association is exempt?
Yes, under exemption number 2.
All right, and then puppies 52 weeks or younger are exempt, and kittens 26 weeks or younger is exempt.
Yes, except there is also an exemption in number 4 for bigger dogs, which could be exempted at even an older age. Like one of our public commenters mentioned that. So we have that exemption added under number 3.
Okay, so that's exemption 3, and then exemption 4 is one that has a microchip?
No, exemption 4 is any animal establishment, like a groomer or whatever. They don't have to comply with dogs that aren't actually theirs, that are just there. and also an intact permit for males, which is new law, and a breeding permit for females, which is old law.
Okay,
So if you have one of those permits, then you're exempt as well.
All right, so basically this is for dogs that don't have papers and mixed breeds.
And yes, and aren't being cared for responsibly.
Right. And just
basically.
wandering around the streets.
Mostly.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess the only concern is someone who has a dog at home that they keep up, is in the yard or in the house. They are required to, if it's a mixed breed, they are required to have it spayed or neutered.
Well, so that's an enforcement issue that would be determined, I believe, by the discretion of our ACO officers, and I think either Mr. Samuel or Mr. Clark might be able to speak to that because it's more of a day-to-day matter. We have discussed it, but enforcement is more of a day-to-day thing. Is that okay with you, Dr. Wilson, if they come and speak?
Yes, sir. If we can get one of you guys, I just want to make sure that the public is fully aware of what we are passing or attempting to pass.
How y'all doing? What's the question, sir? I'm sorry.
Basically, my question was if I'm a owner of a pet, and the pet is in the house or it's in the yard, and I keep it up, it's a mixed breed, or I don't have the papers for it, do I then have to spay or neuter my dog?
If I'm not at your house, I won't know you have a pet.
Well, I'm just saying if a neighbor calls and says, this dog is barking, and you go out and then inspect, and then now you find out that the dog does not have papers, or it's a mixed breed, and it's not spayed or neutered.
Well, the way that would work, if someone called us and said, well, hey, these people have a dog and it's barking, now we have to go and investigate if it's actually a barking nuisance. Is the dog already vaccinated? Is it not licensed, but does it have its current rabies vaccination? If it's not running loose, there's nothing going on that would require further enforcement, I'm not going to lean on them to go ahead and fix the animals unless we have prior history at this particular address. Have they had animals running loose? Have they been suspected of breeding? Do they have a male and a female? If it's just one male dog, if it's just one female dog, yes, we're going to advise them on the ordinance, but we aren't going to just start seizing people's pets.
Okay. I just want to know because, we will get, or you will get, a multitude of calls from dog watchers that's basically saying, I think this is a mixed breed, you need to go check it out. Or, I don't think they might not have this, and so it'll be a lot of wild goose chases.
Yes, sir.
So I was just trying to make sure that the public knows that we're not going to be doing wild goose chases.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, I was gone when this was brought to the floor, but the next day when I was headed home, a 12-hour drive, I fielded calls all day long on it. And people were very unhappy. And so I spent a lot of time sitting down with groomers, vets, hunters, farmers, and everybody did not like the ordinance as it was written. And I appreciate the Animal Control Board Committee at least looking at some of the changes I suggested. I took those changes back, and I've talked to those people, and they're still not happy with it. And out of all the calls, all the letters, 95% are against this ordinance from District 1, and about 5% is for. So based on that, as the voice of District 1 on this issue, I'll be voting no.
Commissioner Teleferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to make a statement. Of course, this is a very emotional topic for a variety of us, and it requires its due diligence. This ordinance is most likely one of the most discussed outside the chamber walls, and with good reason. And I commend Commissioner Young, who has been very thorough to be fair to all pet owners regarding bringing this legislation to our attention. As I stated in our last time together, as a proud member of the animal rescue community, there would be nothing more than I would like than to be out of a job as far as fostering. I think Ms. Everett has alluded to that. We just cannot keep up with the number of fosters that are requested. And it's difficult for us that are fosters to have to turn fosterers down. So it's very emotional for us. But I believe this is this will never happen regardless. I mean, I won't be out of a job, and this will never happen regardless if this ordinance passes or not. We will always have animals that need fostering. I remain a strong advocate for licensing, rabies vaccination, tattooing, chipping, even identity registries, or utilizing advanced facial recognition technology. Yes, it does exist, with whom our agencies come in contact with, and to ensure that these animals get back home. I will tell you that I know what I don't know, and pride myself on relying on those people whom I value and those organizations who are established in this specific field of animal care, such as the American Kennel Club, American Humane, ASPCA, Natural Interest Alliance, Cat Fanciers Association, and many more. The opinions of these organizations, as well as our local veterinarians on whether a mandatory spay-neuter programs are effective, vary. And they vary depending on the area and in the shelter that they've been observing. However, a majority of these organizations have stated that the greatest obstacles to widespread spaying and neutering are the costs and education, not outright the opposition to the procedure itself. Many of these organizations have the opinion, just the opinion, that MSN does not and will not address the root problem. Again, this is dependent on the area in which they were surveying and the shelter in which was involved. I want less government involvement, and I'm hesitant to support more regulation that will require law enforcement's attention because they're already spread thin. We need to enforce the laws currently on our books. We need to focus more on our efforts and money on the eradication of puppy mills, parking lot sales, illegal dog fighting, even using cyber technology. We should continue and encourage and promote the continuing education of responsible pet ownership. Since this ordinance was first introduced, I have had my concerns about its effectiveness. That is no secret. The ability to enforce such an ordinance, what animal owners it would have a direct impact on, and the possibility of property rights issues. While I still have reservations and concerns, I am willing to work with all those involved for the implementation of this program and remain optimistic that with proper management and enforcement, we could be the exception to the rule for our success. Therefore, since this is a 2-year pilot program, during which time we will be collecting data to reevaluate the program's effectiveness, and will mainly focus on irresponsible animal owners whose animals repeatedly come in contact with CPAS, I will be supporting this ordinance with the expectation that CPAS and members of our rescue community make every effort to ensure this program is one of the successful ones. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. When this item first came on the agenda, I had some reservations, but I reached out to vets that I know and respect, and I reached out to some people in the rescue community that I know and respect, and I looked at the euthanasia rates in our parish, and started to change my opinion, but I still worried about the good dog and cat owners and what might happen to the dog and cat owners, to the pets of dog and cat owners that do everything that they're supposed to do to be responsible pet owners. So I approached John Paul Young, Commissioner Young, and asked him if he would consider adding an exclusion for dogs and cats that are collared, tagged, and chipped, and he agreed to do so. And with that addition to the proposed ordinance, I was able to get over my hurdles, so I'll be supporting the initiative. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I just wanted to commend Commissioner Young as the chairman of the Animal Services Committee here at the 11th hour of the year of the committee that you chaired. This will be probably the most groundbreaking animal service committee legislation that has come out of the Caddo Parish Commission in the 7 years that I've served here. So I want to applaud you. And you brought it to the basics of we're either going to spend tax dollars on killing animals or on sterilization, and there's really no other way around that. You were amicable to accept some other piece of legislation to get people on board, and that's the true nature of politics and what it's like to work with other people. So I thank you for that. I don't know if you will be the chairman come January 2022, but it sounds like the next mission will be for puppy mills. But I'll be supporting this, and again, I applaud you for bringing this forward. Thank you, President.
Okay. The motion that was made is.
I need to adjust it.
Okay. I was gonna tell you.
To adopt the amended version.
Okay. All right.
Second.
Thank you.
So got a motion now to adopt the amended version, and second, it was made by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts. Now, Commissioner Young, you want to speak to your
Yes,
amended
Mr. President.
motion?
Could you direct us direct everybody to the location of the amended motion, just so the people in the audience and the people who may be
Certainly.
listening
So under item 12.2 on the agenda, it's the second item. It's the one that says with committee recommendations, 6148.
And it's number 5.
6148.
It's the amended piece.
Oh, yes. Well, so one of the biggest amendment in it is exception number 5, which is the honest escape exception suggested by Commissioner Atkins. May I speak about it now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say briefly, since I've already made a speech which was uncharacteristic of me about animal sterilization, that I have a great appreciation for all my colleagues on this board for listening to me talk about this issue. It's very important to the people in my district whom I met when I was running for this job, and who want us to move toward a low-kill animal shelter more than any of the other things that interested me when I was running for this job. That's what they wanted the most. Everybody up here has spoken to me about it and shared a valuable viewpoint. I have tried to incorporate every single piece of constructive criticism that arose, and I hope that this ordinance makes a difference. We will see, how it is enforced and how it ends up costing precisely, hopefully over the next 2 years, and we can reevaluate that with a little bit of data and prudence. And I want to say thank you again to all the animal rights activists who and rescuers who have showed up to voice their support, and to say thank you all again for your support. Thank you.
See no one else?
Let's vote on the
ordinance as amended.
Commissioner Burrell?
Okay, that motion carries with 10 in support and 1 in opposition. And that brings us to zoning ordinances for introduction by title. And we have no items under that section today, so I'll continue on to ordinances for introduction by title, where we do have a couple of items. The first one, 14.1, is to introduce ordinance number 6152 of 2021. That's an ordinance to accept the streets in New Territory Subdivision Unit 6 into the Parish of Caddo road system and to otherwise provide with respect thereto in District 1. The next item is to introduce ordinance number 6153 of 2021. That's an ordinance amending the Caddo Parish personnel policy to require that all parish employees hired, appointed, or promoted to parish attorney, assistant parish administrator CEO, department director, or commission clerk must reside in Caddo Parish and otherwise provide with respect thereto. And that brings us to work session minutes, where the minutes from your December 6, 2021 work session are attached.
Move to approve.
second.
Mine are not attached.
I don't see them.
Are they not? Maybe refresh your if you just refresh the browser, sometimes it doesn't pick up all the attachments.
Okay, that did.
Okay.
Then moved by Commissioner Gage White, seconded by Commissioner Jones to adopt the work session minutes from December the 6th. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and none in opposition, 1 absent. That brings us to resolutions, where the first resolution we have today is resolution number 74 of 2021. That's a resolution to authorize the Caddo Parish Administrator to request and authorize the Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board and the Office of Mineral Resources to accept nominations and advertise for oil, gas, and mineral leases, accept bids and award and execute oil, gas, and mineral leases on certain mineral interests owned by the Parish of Caddo, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by the vice chair to adopt resolution 74 of 2021. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us to resolution number 83 of 2021. That's a resolution amending the rules and bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission in order to modernize, remove redundant language, reflect current commission practices, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Hopkins to adopt, seconded by Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
I think we've talked about it in work session before a couple weeks ago, so I think we're okay.
Okay. I guess I was here. Let's,
just as a follow-up from your previous discussion on this, in your last meeting you did make 2 edits. Those edits have been made in this version, so.
Okay. Commissioner Evers.
You said we did some edits. Do you recall what they were?
Yes, you. One of them was a motion from you to there was one that removed the setting of the seating chart from the powers of the president, and that I believe was from Commissioner Jackson, and then there was a motion from Commissioner Epperson that that removed the section about the sheriff enforcing lack of attendance. Okay. So those 2 things were removed.
Thank you.
So my question is, and I really don't care if the president is the one who's assigning the seating chart for the body, but when we switch terms and there's a turnover of, more than 2 or 3 commissioners, who's gonna assign that? It should be by at least, the seating chart should be at least by, to me, the most senior commissioner. They would be able to get the seat that's either going around the horseshoe, because these 3 are already assigned. And from then, the new ones, they could be done by alphabetical order. I mean, you gotta have some kind of structure to it, because if you don't, it's nothing.
I think we're not alphabetically, we're numerically in order, except right here. I think once we get over there, and then Mr. Epperson, but I mean, does it matter?
Well, I mean, we just need to have something written as a way of which you do it. I mean, instead of just saying, flip up a coin and you get to that seat, or you run to a seat and I grab this one as mine. I mean, there has to be some structure to it. So if it's by number, that's fine.
Maybe
by
that's the best
alphabets,
way.
that's fine.
In the past.
But it needs to be written. That's what I'm saying.
The clerk usually got with the president and we worked it out.
But they're saying here that they don't want the president to be involved in it, so therefore I'm saying we got to have some structure in order to do it.
Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm on the board.
That's parliamentary.
I am, but
Go ahead on.
I'm trying to get to the point of we got to have something in place. So if I'll listen to Commissioner Epperson and everybody on the board, but I want to make sure that we address this issue before we leave. Commissioner Epperson.
I move that we go initially by seniority, and then from that point on, withdraw lots.
Second.
So have a substitute motion to say that the seats will be assigned by seniority, and then the new ones would be pulled by lots.
Yes.
And it was seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Evans, you want to speak to that?
No, sir.
All right. Is there anybody on the board that want to speak to that substitute motion?
I do.
Okay, Commissioner
Mine
Guerrero.
out there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I see, in terms of equity, since these three are assigned, why couldn't we pull lots at random and allow it to fall as they may? I mean, that's equal justice. Other than those three slots right there, everybody get the same opportunity. I mean, I believe in seniority, but at the same time, just be on an equal basis. Pull your number out of their hat. That's the most equal thing you can do. But that's my comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. And I guess, forgive me, guys, I've been here a few years, but is there like a better chair than? Am I sitting in a bad chair? I didn't know. Like, I feel like I'm in the nosebleed section now. Like I got bad tickets or something.
Well, I'm just saying, if you got like 5 or 6 commissioners coming on, then they got to be able to be seated somewhere, and you got to have a system in place instead of saying, well, last time we did it by number, the time before that we did it by alphabet. You got to have a system in place, and that's why we were putting everything in the bylaws. So if 20 years we're not here, the new ones will come on and say, okay, this is done by this method, instead of flipping the coin. I
think probably the new commissioners being sat next to a prior commissioner to kind of show them, how the computer works, how that works is more important than, I guess, what's perceived as the nosebleed section.
But somebody has to sit them by one. Somebody has to sit them by a senior one, because you're going to have empty seats.
Right. So I think maybe we should have it written to where a new commissioner sits by a veteran commissioner so they can show them how to work everything, as opposed to, I'm still unclear. Where's the good section? Nobody answered that.
Look here. I've been on that side. I've been here. I haven't made it to that side yet, so I don't know.
I'm done, President. Thank you.
Clerk.
Yeah, just as a point of clarification, I did want to mention that, of course, this this update to the bylaws follows a lot of the discussion from the committee that reviewed these and made these suggestions. There is also a document attached here that has some other ideas that were mentioned or discussed, but that aren't being adopted at this time. So if this is an issue that you guys want to, aren't sure about right now, but you want to address it maybe later on, there are some other items that have been identified that could be discussed at a later point.
I'd like to address it now. I want to get that part.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure y'all knew that there were some additional changes.
I don't get the method, as long as we do it. Mr. Jones.
I think we can move past this. It shouldn't be that difficult. Commissioner Epperson put a substitute motion on the floor. Sounds great. I think we should vote on that and move on.
All right. Seeing no one else on the board, let's vote on the substitute motion.
All right, that motion passes with 10 in support and 1 in opposition and 1 absent.
Now we'll vote on the bylaws as amended with that particular substitute motion.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 absent. That brings us to resolution number 84 of 2021. That's a resolution to urge and request the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources to consider the negative impacts of oil and gas drilling in or near urban areas, implement rules to combat those negative impacts, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Commissioner Evans.
I'd like to make a motion that this item be postponed for action until the first meeting in January.
It's been moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Burrell, to postpone this to the first meeting in January. Commissioner Epperson, will speak to the motion?
We had a few little changes on it today, so I just think we need to ponder and go home and have a Merry Christmas and
start out fresh in 2022.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Commissioner Epperson, that's extremely amicable, and I applaud you and thank you for that. After hearing a couple of the scientists that came down and spoke, the only thing that I would like to see maybe is as we go back to the drawing board and meet with the industry professionals and the citizens, because nothing in here had any stipulations in regards to our local water and Cross Lake. I think we should look at that going forward next year. Of how we can protect one of our resources. Thank you, President.
Can I comment on that?
Oh, of course.
No, it's probably too late for that now because you already got wells all around the lake. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ken and I did talk about it, given the fact that this did come out of the Natural Resource Committee, and I understood where he. I understand where he is. He's not anti-oil and gas, nor am I, although we've received a few emails indicating that. We just want them to come and talk to the people and get their concerns. And as you know, I engaged our state representative, Mr. McCormick, as well as our state senator, Mr. Gene Mills, that came the other day. And I try to put this back into their court to work with us to try to get this resolved. So hopefully we can get that done. Thank you. Robert Mills, I'm sorry. I was calling Gene.
Commissioner Atkins.
I appreciate Commissioner Epperson's, first his willingness to consider some of the requests that were made for altering the proposal. And then second, for proposing some additional time. I've just messed up because I didn't lead with my motion, but I will say, if I had led with my motion, I would have asked if we could do this like the second week in January, just to give people some time to meet on it and get some industry association input on it. Maybe someone who might be supportive of that idea would make a motion to have this during the second work week and not the first work week. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we delay until the last meeting in January. That will give us an opportunity, if we need to sit down, whether it be industry people, some citizens, legislators, we can find out what's going on in Bossier. It'll give us a little time, because there's nothing going to really be done starting next week until after the 1st. And we meet right when we come back. We meet that first couple days of the month.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Atkins to postpone this to the second work session in January.
Actually, be the regular meeting.
Second regular meeting in January. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to that motion?
I think I spoke enough.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
I would not support this. I think I've been amicable. We have had numerous public meetings, and I think we're close at a point to where we can rectify the situation. Let's not send that message to the citizens that we are stalling and kicking the can down the road. That's all I have.
Okay. So we'll vote on the substitute motion first, which will be to delay to the second regular session in January.
All right, that motion carries with 7 in support and 4 in opposition. And that brings us to old business, where we have the first item today is the 17.1. That's our end of year appointments. It's a slate of appointments and some vacant seats.
Move to adopt all of the end of the year appointments.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Talaferro to do the appointments for all the end of the year appointments. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. I would request that we delay the appointments of the Caddo Parish Zoning Commission so that we have time for everybody to submit 5 applications or however many applications. And then that would be the meeting where we can hear the resumes and get the background. And this is going to be a very important board. And I would like us to vet all the applicants and do that at one meeting. If I can get a second.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Chavez, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins to remove the Caddo Parish Zoning Commission appointments until
January the 3rd.
January the 3rd. Okay. You want to speak to that?
It'll just give us time to do it correctly.
Okay. Commissioner Hopkins.
Now that, I was gonna make originally that motion myself. We met today with the long range. We received the information. Legal is gonna work on an ordinance and see if they can come up with something. And before we start jumping in and appointing people, we need to kind of know what direction we're gonna go. So I would just ask we wait till, and, you know, I would prefer to wait later than that, but I can live with the, because we don't know exactly how long it's gonna take this process. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Mine was on the prior resolution. They should have been no. They said yes for me.
I'm sorry?
They should have been no on their resolution.
For the delay?
The substitute motion. On the substitute motion?
Yes.
So are you saying that your vote registered incorrectly?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine did as well. Clerk, I think it came up as abstain. It should have been no as well.
So that if there's 2, that would have changed the outcome.
Right. So now we got to go back to the original motion. Well, the substitute motion of Commissioner Evans. Right. So let's go ahead and carry this one, and then we'll go back to that one.
If we could finish this vote first, then we can pull that one up.
Yeah, because y'all going to confuse me up here. Let's see. Commissioner Epperson.
That's what I had in mind. I don't know if we put anything in place on this committee yet, have we?
No.
We're still talking, so
yes.
I think it's premature to even engage in talking about appointing members to the board. Okay. So I'll be voting, you know, if we do anything, make a motion that be alleviated until such time as we find out what the status of that would be.
Yeah, all right, that's the current substitute motion. Commissioner Atkins.
I agree with what Commissioner Epperson said. That's fine. So we're good.
All right, Commissioner Jones.
I was speaking to
the other, okay.
Yeah, to the other.
All right, so now that we all settled, the substitute motion is to do the end of the year appointments, but to remove the ones pertaining to the
Caddo Parish
Zoning Commission until January of 2022.
And so will I? Am I instructed to put those back on the first agenda of the year, or is it just?
I would say at the second January meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's better. Good job, President.
All right. Seeing no one else, let's vote on the substitute motion.
Commissioner Burrell?
Okay, that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 absent. I believe there was some discussion about a
So now we need to go back to Resolution 84.
For the record, it sounds as though there was a miscalculation of the vote due to perhaps a computer error of some kind, that it did not register at least 2 votes correctly. So,
so we will. Let's revote on the substitute motion so that you can gather that right in the minutes, and then if that pass or fails, we'll move to what we need to do after that.
Yeah,
so the substitute motion would be the one that Commissioner Hopkins suggested, which would be to postpone until the second regular session meeting in January.
Correct.
That's the substitute motion.
Correct. And if that fails,
We'll go to the motion that Commissioner Epperson made, which will be to delay it to the first regular session in January.
correct.
So we voted on the second regular session right now, to delay it to the second.
And to be clear, a yes vote is to postpone to the second meeting.
Right.
Okay, and that motion does not carry, well,
It doesn't.
no, it does carry, it has 6, yeah.
No.
So we still have 6 in favor, and so that motion does carry to move to this, to postpone to the second meeting.
No, resolution takes 7.
To adopt, but it's a postponement.
adopt, this is
So
to delay.
Your language says that to adopt resolutions is 7, but a postponement is just a simple majority.
Go clerk.
We just rewrote the bylaws, so it's fresh in my mind.
Okay, all right. Next item.
Okay, sorry. So that brings us to, the new business, which is the, so we're back, we, have already addressed old business, and now we're in new business with the appointment to the Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourist Commission Board of Directors. We have before us an appointment of Casey B. Hartley.
Been moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to appoint Casey B. Hartley to the Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourism Board. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to that motion?
No, we talked about it on Monday.
Okay.
So.
Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
And that motion passes with 11 in support and none in opposition, 1 absent. That brings us to the next item, approving the 2022 audit schedule. And that approves the 2022 audit schedule as follows, with finance, purchasing, and procurements being the first item, public works, street maintenance being the second item, and the third item being other auditable areas, including parish administration and legal.
Move to approve on behalf of the committee.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Atkins, seconded by Commissioner Guerrero to adopt a 2022 audit schedule. Commissioner Atkins, you want to speak to that motion?
We spoke about this during the work session. I'm happy to answer any questions if we have any. Otherwise, I would just encourage us to vote to approve.
Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us to communiques and committee reports.
Roy, Commissioner Burrell.
I'm the only one.
I knew you was going, so.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, let's get Christmas started. First thing I want to do is address this piece of toilet paper that I got in my hand that was used to try to slander my name for voting for a person to fill the slot here on the commission. What the intent appeared to be was to create a division between myself and whoever wind up getting the position. I was emailed a couple of times asking me to explain my vote. I don't have to explain my vote to nobody. I was elected. And secondly, I only have to explain it to my constituents. But secondly, given the fact that the person who asked me to vote for them, I didn't even know that there were the other people who were actually vying for the position. That was before that. And one thing I've always done, if I've given my word early, I'm not going to go back and change it because I get pressure from a piece of toilet paper. So as you can see, I have an issue with this, and this is not the first time. I've been dealing with this for 20 years. So I have the right to say what I want to say about this. So based upon that, I thought that it may be appropriate for Christmas too, because I found a story that I thought that matched pretty good with the kind of stuff that public officials who have to try to protect their reputation in the public do. So I thought maybe I would share that with you, and I hope you give me the time. That's the reason why I wanted to take the time to put it out there in a story. And the story that I have is a Christmas story, basically, and the name of it is COVID and the Grinch, a Christmas parody. The names have been changed to protect some people and to protect myself. So here it goes, Mr. Chairman. It should take no more than about 6 minutes, hopefully. There is nothing like a good old Christmas tale, and the Grinch is my favorite story, because many times towns have one, and sometimes they have more than one. So let me share this holiday story with the coronavirus twist, COVID and the Grinch, a Christmas parody. Some may find it offensive. Some may find it distasteful, but you're not the target many times of some of these Grinches. Both come silently to steal and pilfer happiness and joy of citizens and families. Neither has any value of note, yet they persistently find ways to annoy and cause harm to the lives of citizens year-round, not just Christmas. To begin this Christmas tale, it would be only proper to put names with faces of the two menaces, COVID and the Grinch. They both reside in the river valley of Caddoville. COVID is known by many names, Alpha, Delta, Lambda, and the latest, Omicron. Delta has proven to be the worst one of the viruses of them all. The Delta virus is known to have caused suffering among the people and mostly deaths, both locally, state, nationally, and the world, totaling some 750 million or more, a tragic pandemic. More on that later. The other character in our Christmas tale is the Caddoville Grinch. Most people know him as John Mettles, M-E-T-T-L-E-S, a tormented soul who is known to meddle in other folks' business uninvited. He is sometimes called Mr. PRR, Mr. Public Record Request. This dubious reputation came from Old Grinch Mettles, constantly requesting and suing governments for their private records, taking immense pleasure in slandering people's character and embellishing the truth, hiding his own true intentions. His main target is the black male leadership, where he gets most of his kicks. Some may even consider him a bit racist. He is described as a little man in many ways than one, short in stature, a gray beard like St. Nick's, mean as a snake. Sometimes he wears a cabana-style hat to give him character, copying the style of a former popular Shreveport attorney, K.D. Kelly, known as the man with the hat. Unfortunately, Mr. Kelly was debarred in 2019. Like Attorney Kelly, Old Grinch Mettles was once a bona fide attorney in Caddoville and Beaucheville. A fairly good attorney, some say, but just like the other man with the hat, Old Grinch Mettles was also permanently disbarred by the Louisiana Supreme Court in 2017 for criminal activity. He was found not to be an honorable man of the judiciary, according to the court records and Wikipedia. Some say after this, Old Grinch Mettles started a downward spiral mentally, sometimes regressing fast back into criminal activity and deviant activities. He became very self-centered and self-absorbed, often lashing out and seen drunken in the public. Yes, he was paying his past sins. According to the media report, Old Grinch Mettles had a long criminal history and legal ethics problems. prior to his disbarment for an authorized lawyer practice, threatening harm to the judiciary, intentional contempt of court, trying to intimidate judges in their courtroom. The story also has that old Grinch Metal was mentally diagnosed as a narcissistic psychotic, whatever that means. Maybe that explains the deviant behavior because he was criminally charged with soliciting prostitution. What an upstanding character. It was also noted that old Grinch Metal ran for Caddoville City Council against a Republican fellow named Arsenault and was beaten like the little drummer boy. Some say that is why he is obsessed with destroying the reputation of public officials, mostly the black ones. After becoming a washed-up attorney, he became a mediocre journalist by acquiring a failing magazine tabloid, The Inquisitor. Old Grinch Metal often used it to smear and tear down the reputation of those he secretly hates, pushing his toxic propaganda to whomever is gullible enough to believe it. Many jokingly said that the Inquisitor only spread gossip and mess. I am inclined to agree. How ironic. Old Grinch Metal often accuses black politicians of taking government money when he uses his own tabloid to exploit media business as the official journal for local government organizations like the Caddoville and Beaujeville Tourist Bureau. I'm about finished. Caddoville Sheriff's Office, Blanchardville, and Greenwoodville. Most people in Caddoville are afraid of old Grinch because, especially politicians trying to avoid the wrath of his people. They avoid it like the plague, or let's say a COVID pandemic. Like the little green Christmas Grinch that stole Christmas from the people of Hoolsville, old Grinch Metal is trying to make a name for himself. The moral of this story is, don't let COVID or old Grinch Metal steal your Christmas. Get vaccinated. Merry Christmas to all in Caddoville. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any other commissioners to communicate?
Thank you.
Next item, administration, you got anything?
No, sir, we don't have anything today, sir. Merry Christmas to everybody, and I'll see you all again.
We got a couple more things.
We got the president's report now.
So, president report is short, sweet. Just want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Be safe. COVID is still in our community. There's some events that will be coming in town. December 18th is the Independence Bowl. We have two good teams that will be coming, BYU and University of Alabama, Birmingham. We also have Louisiana Tech playing LSU in basketball the same day. So enjoy that. We also have some more events that's going on, but just make sure that you stay safe and be vigilant of COVID, and that if you're close proximity, still wear your mask. Outside, try to stay social distance. And we hope to see everyone make it on the other side of 2022. Next item.
That brings us to citizens' comments, late arrivals.
We got one. Marvin Muhammad.
I can go. Okay.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Muhammad.
I'm sorry.
Merry Christmas, sir. Oh, man, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. Marvin Muhammad, I wish I was bringing good cheer, but I rise today, and I'll preface my comments by saying, first of all, I want to commend Dr. Wilson and his staff with the support of this commission for administering over $25 million in the rental assistance program. I believe, if many might not know, they are one of only 4 parishes or counties in the country that has received recognition of just excellent work, and that is definitely to be commended. But today I rise to speak of a dilemma. Earlier today there was probably 100 residents, maybe 75% of the activists, and maybe 2 or 3 carloads of Shreveport police officers trying to keep the peace over at what is now Woodlawn Terrace Apartments, so Wood Estates Apartments. And while I won't get into the deplorable conditions or all the allegations going back and forth, what I do have an issue with is that there's a conflict that tenants that received rental assistance money, they're not being given credit. And the reason why is because the property was recently sold. And so what is happening, the new ownership allegedly is saying, we don't have those funds, and so we're not giving you credit. And on yesterday, to make the matter extreme, over 60 residents in that apartment complex, electric was cut off. Today, those residents, and I'm assuming a few more, received 5-day notices to vacate. As the third vice president of the NAACP and the legal redress chair, I have received a lot of phone calls from some of those residents, so today I stand. Many of those residents, they sent me screenshots of their rental assistance account, and it showed where their rent was paid to December, some even January 2022. But yet some of those residents are asked to leave. So I'm not a lawyer, and what I don't want to happen is the great work of this administration, this commission, to be smeared. I'm hoping that maybe, I know, welcome to the horseshoe, Commissioner Jones, but maybe Commissioner Jones could put a task force together or something that can begin to try to regulate between the two past owners. I don't know what legal binding the commission could do or the administration, but I do know with federal dollars something should have to be done. Because what I would hate is to see tenants with children at tow being evicted after the parish have came to the aid in their assistance. That'd be a black eye on the parish. That wouldn't be the fault of the parish, but actually because of the dilemma that two owners are having. I personally don't know where the truth lies, but what I do know is that several residents over there do have rent paid up by the parish through the federal government, and now they're being asked to leave. So I'm hoping there's some type of remedy, and that there will be, in fact, some interference and engagement to help them. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, I would ask that someone will investigate this.
Yes, sir.
Especially if we've already paid the rent to those tenants and they're being evicted, that we need to be looking at receiving funds back. And Mr. Muhammad, after the meeting, I want to get with you because we also need to be getting the housing department involved in this, because that is federal housing. Even though it's owned by a private individual, they are getting subsidized on their rent. So I'll get with you after the meeting, and we'll talk about an approach that we need to be taking.
Yes, yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Muhammad, thank you for coming today and speaking up on this issue. This is something that I've been aware of before I was appointed commissioner, so I've been working aggressively with tenants over there. Particularly Mr. Jermaine Anderson was the first person who brought this to my attention. So working with the activists that are there, and what I'm really proud of are the citizens taking control and taking action and getting things done right away. Us working together. Doesn't necessarily just take me taking the lead on it. So we've already made contact with HUD. They're aware of what's going on. Not necessarily sure of what plan we have in action yet to rectify that, but they are aware of what's going on. And as far as the 5-day notices, I spoke with someone about that, and where they may not be legal with what they're doing in that area. So please know that we are working aggressively with the administration to bring a resolve to this, and I'm well aware of what's going on.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir.
Attorney Frazier?
Yes, I just wanted to let Mr. Muhammad know that individuals can go to our website. The parish has 3 attorneys under contract to assist with persons who are receiving rental assistance but are facing eviction issues. And so there are 3 different attorneys that they can call who are under contract with the parish that will assist them.
I share that information, Attorney
It's
Frazier.
on the
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's on the website.
You got the path, because a lot of people have trouble navigating our website.
On caddo.org, there's a rental assistance tab, if you will, and it's all at the bottom of that. That's where the legal assistance
Okay.
should be listed.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that the public, if they're watching, they know, and Mr. Muhammad can go back and tell them how to navigate to it. And
Thank
then
you.
also, if they need to call the commissioner, that we can help them to navigate to that particular piece as well. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.